What is up, W Sports Podcast? Jimothy and Tubby, and we're back today because it's the middle of March, which means, yes, we have MLB spring training breakouts, but we also have some March Madness news coming this week. And I'm excited because March Madness kicks off this weekend, Tubby.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we got first 4 games starting tomorrow?
First 4 start tomorrow, and I'm not really a big fan of those games. I'd much rather just focus on the actual 64. I get it; it's kind of nice, but man,
I mean, there's a couple of teams that got. I mean, you got one team playing tomorrow, so that probably shouldn't be in. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yes, we will. Yes, I know some of y'all are asking. Last year we had the winner on the podcast, so maybe who knows? Maybe that's what we can do, depending on how well you all do. So if you ever thought about being on a podcast, maybe this is your chance. If you can win our breakouts at our bracket group on ESPN, we're going to put that in the comment section and we're going to see what happens there. But it's a lot of fun getting all the interest in there, and then make sure you put your name on there. Some way we can identify you, maybe code name, whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter to me, but we want to be able to compare. So we're going to get to that. But before we do that, Tubby, we got to talk about one thing here. You're a Dodgers fan. This is the second year in a row that baseball season has started like a week and a half early for you. Does it actually feel like baseball season is starting?
No. I mean, I'm going to watch the game, but it doesn't seem like a real regular season start because, regular season starts when opening day is.
Yeah, 100%. It just almost feels so because you have the game, then you have that many days. Is it almost like no? Like, would you just do away with it? Do you think the MLB should do away with it?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I mean, if you're going to do it, maybe do it like 2-3 days before the opening day, not a week and a half where you go, okay, we're going to go over here and play. But yet now we got to come back and play a few more spring training games real quick.
Yeah, got to worry about the jet lag. I agree. I was curious if you're going to feel any differently because it is your team. As a Cardinals fan, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to watch those games. I'll keep an eye on the stats. I was just furious because last year I was like, I'm going to play fantasy baseball again for the first time in a while. You and I were in the same league together. You won that league, but I was mad because Mookie Betts, when he goes absolutely crazy in those first 2 games, none of it counted. None.
Yeah, no.
Just stupid. No. So that's how my season went, in case you guys were wondering. But let's go and let's talk about some spring breakouts. Now, this is the name. This is a Dodger that's been in the headlines. I'm going to say former Dodger. Some people are like, is he going to get a roster spot because there's been some shakeups on the outfield? But Trayce Thompson was the headliner early on. He has yet to hit a home run since he made headlines, but he's one of the early ones. 6 home runs, obviously. I mean, that just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a typical Trayce Thompson thing, where you see him have a big spring, find a team, and then it comes regular season, he either gets hurt or he just, it's Trayce Thompson.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going to get a roster spot. I don't think he should necessarily either. He is walking quite a bit, but it's really hard to always tell what's the talent level that you're facing when it comes to spring training games. Are you getting more of the late inning bats because you're not expected to be on the roster? So you're going against minor league talent. What does it look like? He's been a career, kind of 4A player.
Yeah.
And, maybe that's what Boston wants for depth. But some of the other guys, I mean, leading in home runs, there's 4 guys who have 6. Rhys Hoskins, Gavin Sheets, right? Is that?
Yeah, Gavin right? Sheets.
And then Wellner is the other one for Minnesota. Yeah, 27. Last year, he had 220 at-bats and 13 home runs. I'm curious between him and maybe even Gavin Sheets, who had more at-bats last year with 10 home runs and a down year. Which one's more likely to be, could be a breakout year for him?
I'm going to go with Wellner. I saw something last year with Wellner where, he played good. I think more consistent than I think we've seen Gavin Sheets really do his whole career. So I think Wellner's probably, I don't know if I'm going to say breakout season, but if, he ends up, 20-some home runs, decent, batting average, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, no, I could see that too. The other one I want to point out as a Cardinal, and this is because I really want him to get more playing time, especially against left-handed pitching, is Luken Baker. The dude has struck out 7 times in 36 at-bats, which isn't great, but I will say the dude has 7 walks as well, and he has 4 home runs. He mashes left-handed pitching, and I feel like he's a good depth bat. He's not going to play first base. Dude is a brick wall. I mean, he is huge. He does not move very fast, but he can absolutely clobber the ball.
Yeah, I mean, good, you know, pitch hit. When the team gets into the bullpen, bring
Mhm.
in against a lefty. Maybe he gets a big home run for you. Play some DH every once in a while. I think he. I like what you said. I think that he, someone that can go out there, like you said, and just mash lefties. And for some reason in baseball right now, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of people that can do that consistently.
Mhm. Well, and I do want to jump to another guy real quick because Jorge Soler has been doing pretty well for the Mets, but so has Juan Soto to the Mets. I meant the Angels,
The
excuse me.
Angels.
Angels. I cannot, dude. I'm looking at it right now. Too many team names on here, but Juan Soto, both of them have 4 home runs. Soler is doing the typical thing. He's an absolute power master. I asked this question because do you think he ends the season with the Angels if he continues just his normal stuff?
No, I don't think he does. Period. I
Yeah.
think he gets traded. I mean, how many times has he been trading at the deadline in the last 3 years? 3 times, 4 times? I mean,
I mean, yeah, it's quite often.
yeah, he gets traded every year. I imagine he's going to get traded at some point. Someone's going to need some outfield help. Someone's going to get hurt. I mean, teams are always looking for extra outfielders. Someone's going to get hurt, and they're going to end up making the trade.
Yeah. Do you feel like, and I feel like I'm just rattling through a ton of names, and I apologize. It's just because we know what spring training stats are. They're not a huge indicator of what the overall success of the season is going to look like. But when you start to see some trends, maybe even roster spots, are there some of these guys that you're seeing they're having a good enough spring to secure that roster spot?
Yeah, there's a couple. I think we talked about it during our NL Central breakdown. The fifth starter for the Royals, Chris Bubik, which I mean he's had okay spring training, but I think the guy that we need to look at is Daniel Lynch. Lynch
Mm,
has looked really good, 3.21 ERA, 14 innings, 11 strikeouts. He's looked really solid. I think that he could potentially push Bubik out of the rotation and end up securing that fifth starter. An extra left-handed pitcher in the rotation and go along with Cole Reagans. I think he's someone to keep an eye on. Maybe I don't know if he'll start right off the bat, but I think there's a chance that he could potentially push him out of the rotation. And then another one is Curtis Mead. He was a big part of the trade a couple years ago with the Rays and the Guardians, and he struggled last year, which was his first real big major league season. This year he looks bigger, stronger. He's batting 621, couple home runs. He leads spring training and hits this so far. I think this is a guy that in a team that is desperate need for someone outside of Jose Ramirez to put up some
dude.
offensive numbers. I think if these trends keep on going, at least maybe they found someone that can maybe help along the way on the offensive side.
Yeah, no, I like those all of those a ton. I'm not gonna say this is locked into a position, but I would say when you see the locked inness to an MVP conversation, it's
Mm-hmm.
Juan Soto is absolutely laser focused, and I'm upset about it as a Cardinal fan and just as a base. Not with the Mets, man. It's just so it
Yeah,
rubs me the wrong way. But I mean, the Cardinals have played the Mets. It seems like every single day and he just keeps on hitting home runs. Probably because Sonny Gray continues to throw the ball 91 down the middle, which just continues to prove the point that he is not an ace. And I haven't
yeah,
ever thought he's an ace when the Cardinals signed him. They said we got our ace. I'm like, no, you got a good number two
mm-hmm.
starting pitcher, and it's just really frustrating. What about Reese Hoskins? We have the rebuilding almost or rebranding almost, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
with the Milwaukee Brewers, and he had an injury season last year and the year before it. He
Mm-hmm.
just hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's got
Yeah,
6 home runs. He's not striking out too much. He's hitting for power. He's hitting for average. He's getting on base.
yeah. I mean, we've seen it from Hoskins before. When he's healthy, the guy can put up some numbers. I mean, those first couple of seasons with the Phillies, he kind of came out of nowhere down in the minor league system, came up and just came in and just started mashing the ball. When he's healthy, he's a good player, a solid first baseman. But like you said, it's the injuries that have been the biggest problem for him, especially with the lower, ligaments, the knee injuries have been a big problem for him. So I mean, I like him if he's healthy, but I've got to see him stay healthy.
Yeah. No, I see that too. For the record, Sonny Gray has given up 6 home runs in
Oh,
spring training in 9 and 2/3 innings.
yeah, that's not numbers you want to see.
No, it is not very good. The Cardinals, he's given up 4. So the Cardinals, I mean, and I will say The wind has been absolutely howling in Florida. I don't know what it's been looking in the Cactus Leagues, but in the Florida leagues, it has been blowing like crazy. So I do think that has a little bit to do with it. But
Yeah, that could be part of it.
yeah, as you look into the end of the season, is there any final people that you're looking at, like maybe a team that has to make a couple moves before spring starts due to maybe injuries or just low performance, anything like that that you're seeing?
I mean, I think the Yankees are going to have to address something with the pitching. I'm not quite sure where they go from right now. I mean, they've got some, with Garrett Cole being out for the season, and then you've got questions with Carlos Rodon's, health throughout his career. I mean, Warren has pitched really well for him this spring, so maybe he can come in and into the rotation. And they had Lewis Hill also get hurt, and he's out for a vast majority of the season. I think Padres are another one
Hmm.
pitching. Yu Darvish. I mean, sounds like he's going to maybe miss the first half of the season now, and that's a rotation we talked about also where the back end. Nick Pivetta, he's solid veteran pitcher, but how much more does he have in them? Then they got another guy, I can't even remember his name now, in the rotation that they have projected in the rotation, who's not really been a starter throughout his career. With Musgrove out, also, I think that's another team, especially weird since they've been talking about maybe trading Dylan Cease
Mm,
with that rotation that they have.
yep.
I don't think Cease gets traded now, but maybe they go out and try to find another starting pitcher to supplement Darvish now being out for a whole first half of the season because they were expecting him to maybe be out a month.
Yeah, I like all those. The Yankees are the biggest one. They have to make a move. I mean, it's not even
Mm-hmm.
close. Just to be
Yeah.
as locked in and depth wise that they had on the starting rotation and what they're at now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they have to be ecstatic that they didn't trade away Marcus Stroman
Yeah,
for what
absolutely.
they have now. So I think the Mets are the other team. You just look at the catcher position, some of the question marks, maybe in the outfield. We'll see. I think they'll be able to
Mm-hmm.
put pieces together, but these are teams that both have expected to make it, and here we
Mm-hmm.
are, like make it a deep run. So we'll
Yeah.
see. And you know what? This time next week we're going to do a predictions episode where we go over MVPs, World Series picks. I can't wait till one of us picks someone who finishes last in the division again. Now, I'm not picking the Cardinals. Just saying. So
You sure?
taking that one off the cards. Ooh, there you go.
Okay.
Little there.
Well, you eliminated one team.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. It's March Madness season, and Tubby, you talked a little bit about what it was. One team that's playing tomorrow that shouldn't be. There were some teams that on the bubble that didn't make it. I think
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia. I think is one of them that I
Yeah.
looked at, and I'm like, I don't know. I think just such a up and down rocky season. But I'm curious.
Yeah.
You mentioned one. What is the one team that you're thinking?
I mean, I think you could put two in there, and they're both playing in first four games.
Hmm.
But UNC had no right being in it. I mean, you're 1-12 versus quad one teams.
Dude,
I mean,
that's
they
name
got
brand right there.
yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was money and the name recognition. That was the only reason why they got in. I think Xavier was the other one. They were 1-9 in quad, and they play in not as difficult as a conference as the ACC. I mean, the ACC is not great this year, anyways, but still, I think those two teams getting in. I know West Virginia, they got really hurt with DeVries being injured and he being their best player. And I know I remember the committee was saying that was a big reason why they didn't get into the tournament was because your best player's hurt and we're not sure if he's going to be playing in the game. So I get that one, but like I said, I don't think UNC should have been in. They they got in, yeah, like we said, based off the name and the money, potential. That I mean, because these first four games, the 11 seeds are some good ones. So it's not like we're getting gypped there, but I just don't think that those teams deserve a chance to be in it because they haven't done anything.
Yeah. Is there a team that you're like maybe outside that first four that you're like, I mean, I don't know, like that how deep of a run they can actually make? Maybe even if their seating is better, you're like, I don't trust them enough.
I don't trust them. Ooh, I'm gonna go with Wisconsin. I
Wow.
think
Okay.
Wisconsin.
After the run that they just had in the Big Ten, and you're just like, no, man, I'm out.
I don't think the Big Ten's that strong. Honestly, I think it's a two conference race right now, and it's the SEC and the Big 12. And I think the Big 12 is even somewhat weak. The SEC is
Hmm.
by far, in a way, the best conference in basketball this year. 14 out of the 16 teams get in, but I mean the Big 12 is still good. But I mean, Wisconsin was kind of floating around for most of the season. Yeah, they went on the run at the end and into the Big Ten tournament. But what are they, a fourth, fifth seed? I think is kind of crazy, or maybe they're six. But I thought was kind of crazy that they were up that high. I thought a team like Louisville was much better than them, and they got an 8 seed.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's a tough run.
yeah, I just I'm not the biggest fan of Wisconsin this year. I think that there's a good chance that they turn around and lose right off the bat. Are they playing Grand Canyon right off the bat?
Let me pull this up real quick. I just scrolled through it.
But
Wisconsin,
yeah, I think that they definitely got you
Montana.
know Montana. Okay, Montana's still a good team from the Big Sky. So I didn't think I thought they were looking too much at what they did at the end and not as a whole.
Yeah. Well, I know this can sound biased, but Oklahoma getting seeded even I thought they were on the brink of obviously missing it,
Hmm.
and they did get the 20 win mark, which is a big number when it comes to
Yeah,
tournament selection for some of these power conferences, the number that they could not get to last year.
yeah,
But they are, they get if they win, they get the number one seed, so it's
yeah.
not an easy road.
No, no, and I mean UConn's going to be tough. I
Hmm.
mean, two-time defending national champion, and then turn around if you win, you got to play arguably to me, I think the best team in college basketball right now in Florida. Yeah, not a fun run, but at least for Oklahoma, you can say, hey, we've played Florida before, so we know some of their tendencies.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely wasn't great seeding. But like you said, I wasn't expecting 9. I was expecting the 10 or 11. I thought maybe
Hmm.
there was a potential that they could be in one of those play-in games. But I think it showed that you look at their record and 9 of their 20 wins are against teams that are in the tournament right now. So they
Yeah.
definitely played a much better non-conference schedule than I think they were anticipating. I mean, no one expected Michigan to be as good as they are. No one expected Louisville to be as good as they are. Arizona, everyone expected, still be a decent team, but I don't think everyone expected Arizona to kind of have the season that they've had in the Big 12. So it definitely helped out that these teams that they played and beat early on have had really good seasons. But yeah, I was kind of surprised at how high that they had them, and
Yeah.
the fact that they were just like a sure lock. It wasn't like a 10 seed where maybe they were the last 10 seed in and potentially almost on that 11 seed where they could have played in. But I guess
Yeah.
it just shows the strength of the SEC this year.
Yeah, well, let me ask this question then, because sometimes when it comes to people when they're filling their brackets or just watching it anyway, when it comes to the tournament itself, it's not
Hmm.
always the highest seed wins. Obviously, that's why
Yeah.
it's so much fun to do these and watch the games. But who are maybe the top three? Because I know we're always talking about Final Four, but I want to know who are your top three teams that you expect to make a deep run at the championship. And I imagine one of those is Florida.
Yeah, Florida. I mean, I've already filled out one of my brackets, and I have Florida winning it all. I think Florida right now is by far the best team. The strength, in the inside, they've got size, they've got ball handling, they got shooting. They don't really have much weakness in the way they've been playing and just kind of beating up on some of these really good teams in the SEC, especially in the tournament.
Hmm.
I think really points to them being one of the tougher teams. I think Houston again. I mean, what Kelvin
Yes.
Sampson has done, the defense is always going to be there. I think they've gotten better when it comes to shooting this year. Uh, Getting Milos Uzan from Oklahoma, and then a couple of these other guys that have taken big leaps from last year, and shooting the ball really well.
Hmm.
And I'm a big fan of what Michigan State has done this year. They kind of were one of those teams where no one really expected this. Get a number 2
This is the
seed.
best Michigan State team in a while.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a under the radar Michigan State team. You don't really hear a whole lot about them. You know, I think that they might be able to wiggle their way into maybe a Final Four.
Whew, okay. Well, I'm surprised by one team. This has been a 2 year turnaround, and I love St. John's. I like their path outside of having to go through Florida. I
Hmm.
love the path that they have to get all the
Yeah,
way towards at least the Sweet 16 and make a deep run. This is a team that has been so disappointing for so long, and dude,
yeah,
there's still something left in the tank there for him. So it was being really good. But I like the Houston pick for sure. Michigan State. I think a lot of people might like the Wisconsin after the Big Ten run. Big Ten basketball has always been a thing, so that's why I wouldn't
yeah.
be surprised if a lot of people like them. I hear what you're saying. Just
Hmm.
throwing this out there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like I said, I think you look at the Big Ten this year, and they're not as good as they were last year. But
Hmm.
I kind of thought that same thing last year, and they made a lot of their teams made it a lot further than I thought. So maybe I'm wrong again this year, but I don't know. I don't think that they've played the toughest basketball, and like I said, they were floating around a good part of midway through the season, and it's just been a late run at the end of the season. How much more do they have in? Because
Hmm.
they had a chance to win the Big Ten and they didn't.
Yeah. 14 teams in the SEC. How many think make it to the Final Four?
I think that there'll be two for sure. I think Auburn has a really easy path. I think Florida, even though I think that they are in the toughest part of the bracket, like I still think Florida is going to be the toughest out for anyone.
Hmm. Yeah, we definitely agree to that. So, all right. Well, Tubby, I mean, that's all I have on here. We're going to put in the comment section a way for you all to join the group on ESPN if you want to. If you've already created a bracket, you can just go to the join group. You can search the W Sport Podcast and
Mm-hmm.
do that. But we'd love to put that out there, give you a shout out if you win. It's going to be kind of fun. I like it.
Yeah, I mean it's always a fun time.
It's always a fun time. So we appreciate you all subscribing to the show. We gained even more subscribers this last week. So thank you guys so much for hitting that button. If you haven't already, make sure you do that because that's the easiest and best way to support the show, help us keep things rolling. And you know what? As we get into April, we're going to have more giveaways back with the show. So thank you guys so much for what you all continue to do to support the show and share it. Till then, we'll see y'all next time.
See ya.
See you.